It's Christmas week, 1987, Pope County, Arkansas. Ronald Gene Simmons carried out a crime that remains the worst mass murder in our state's history and the largest single-family killing in American history. 16 people dead, 14 of them his own blood, 4 more wounded. At the time, I was still serving as coroner 70 miles away in Little Rock. This wasn't my case, but I followed it closely as every coroner and every law enforcement officer in Arkansas did. It was too big, too horrifying to ignore. Simmons had retired from the Air Force. He moved his family from New Mexico after authorities opened an incest investigation. He built a compound outside Dover, 2 trailers joined together, no phone, no plumbing, and a high privacy fence, a place he called Mockingbird Hill. It was built for isolation, and it was built for control. On December 22, 1987, he began. He shot his wife, Rebecca Becky Simmons, 46. He shot his oldest son, Ronald Gene Simmons, Jr., 29. He strangled his granddaughter, Barbara Sue Simmons, who was only 3. Their bodies were hidden in a pit he had dug under the pretense of building an outhouse. Later that day, the school bus dropped off 4 more children. One by one, Simmons brought them inside. He strangled or drowned his daughter, Loretta, 17. His son, Eddie, 14, his daughter, Mary Ann, 11, and his youngest daughter, Rebecca, 8. Their small bodies went into the same pit. 4 days later, on December 26, he staged an after-Christmas gathering. As each family arrived, he murdered them. His son, William Billy Simmons II, 22, was shot. His daughter-in-law, Renata Mae Simmons, 21, was shot. Their little boy, William Henry Trey Simmons III, 20 months, was strangled. His daughter, Sheila McNulty, 24, was shot. Her husband, Dennis McNulty, 33, was shot. Their daughter, Sylvia Gale McNulty, 7, was strangled. Their son, Michael McNulty, 21 months, was strangled. Simmons covered Sheila's body with a cloth and placed her on the dining room table. The infants were placed in the trunks of abandoned cars outside. That same evening, he drove into Russellville to pick up the family's Christmas presents. Then he returned home, surrounded by the dead, and waited out the weekend. On Monday morning, December 28th, Simmons carried his violence into town. At a law office, he shot and killed Kathy Cribbins Kendrick, 24, a young woman he had once pursued. At Taylor Oil Company, he shot his former boss and killed James David J.D. Chafin, 33. At a convenience store, he shot and wounded 2 more. And at a trucking company, he wounded another woman, briefly held an employee hostage, then calmly handed his gun to the police chief and surrendered. The investigation confirmed the pattern. Adults mostly shot, children strangled or drowned. The same revolver tied the family murders to the shootings in town. I remember talking with the field investigator for the medical examiner's office, Gerald Curtis. He was one of the men who had to work those scenes. Gerald later went to work for me. Gerald had children of his own at the time, and this case cut him deeply. To this day, he does not speak publicly about what he saw at Mockingbird Hill. That silence tells you as much as anything about the weight of this case. Simmons went through 2 trials. In the first, he was convicted for the murders in Russellville and sentenced to death plus 147 years. In the second, he was convicted for the murders of his family and sentenced to death again. When prosecutors introduced a letter he had written to his daughter, Sheila, evidence of his incestual relationship with her, Simmons lost control and lunged at the prosecutor in court. When it came time for appeals, Simmons refused them. He told the judge death was the proper punishment. Another inmate and a priest tried to force an appeal on principle, but the case went to the United States Supreme Court as Whitmore versus Arkansas. The court ruled they had no standing, and Simmons's wish stood. On June 25, 1990, Governor Bill Clinton signed the warrant. At the Cummins unit, Ronald Gene Simmons was executed by lethal injection. He had no visitors, no clergy, and no family left to claim him. If you were counting, that's 16 lives, 14 family members and 2 more in town, children, parents, grandchildren, an entire family tree cut down in 1 week's time. There's no neat way to close out a story like this. Pope County was scarred, investigators were scarred, Arkansas still remembers. If you want to understand how evil can look ordinary, just picture that fence around Mockingbird Hill. From the road, it was plain boards, but behind it, secrets festered until they spilled out. Y'all be kind to each other, okay?